Alex the Great White Morono, he's a minus 220 favorite with a plus 180 comeback from Mickey Gall. Both of these dudes are known for their jiu-jitsu, but Morono, I think that his jiu-jitsu has taken a back seat because he's been throwing haymakers at everybody who comes his way. My question to you on this one, my man. Both of these guys are experienced. Mickey Gall, even though his record isn't super flashy, right? He doesn't have too many, I think he has like 10 fights, maybe less on his entire MMA career. He's fought killers in the UFC. He's been with the UFC since basically day one. Alex Morono, I said in his last fight that I don't see how he can continue his success throwing just wild haymakers at everybody. He needs to be a little more technical in his striking. But his jiu-jitsu makes up for all of that. But when you're fighting fire jiu-jitsu versus fire jiu-jitsu, sometimes you are going to get that kickboxing match, AJ. How do you see this fight playing out, man? And whoever wins in a definitive fashion, who gets the bigger bump, Gall or Morono? What do you think?
Oh, it's hard because Gall's really grown up in the UFC. He's like you said, he's been with the UFC since day one. Had a lot of really tough fights, a lot of really good fights, but he's really starting to kind of grow into his own now that he's in the welterweight division. I believe he started off in featherweight. He might have even started off a little lower than that. But either way, man, welterweight, this dude has found his new home. And Alex Morono, as much as he loves throwing those bombs, he's able to do that because his ground game is so devastating and so technical. But like you said, man, you have a fire ground game versus fire ground game. Usually we end up in a striking match. And I honestly think Mickey Gall's striking is just a little bit more precise. He obviously still has that dog in him where he's able to bite down that mouthpiece and start kind of throwing those wild hooks. But that's Alex Morono right off the jump. He doesn't even have, he might have a crisp 1-2, but he chooses and elects not to use it because he loves those power hands. He loves that overhand all coming over the top. Honestly, I see Alex Morono walking forward, taking the advantage on this one while Mickey Gall stays on the outside, piecing him up. If he gets to the ground, that's where I'm interested to see who has more of an advantage. Right now, I'm leaning a little bit towards Alex Morono, but Mickey Gall can easily get it done, man. He is slick with that rear naked choke, but it's hard to get that like that. I don't want to say basic because it's not a basic choke. You need to have it set up. But for two Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, it's kind of one of those ones that you know it already. You're not going to tap from something like that. You're not going to be putting yourself in the submission or in the position to get submitted by that. I'm interested to see how this one unfolds. I think it's going to stay on the feet. What about you, Derek?
Well, one of the things that's interesting is that I know Alex Morono, first off, very respected name fighting out of Fortis MMA, right? Even in Fortis, he is a very respected name right there. His coach is Saif Saud, all that good stuff, right? He's been one of the biggest, coaching prodigies this year, right? But the thing about it is that Morono he's kind of his own self. He's his own coach in a way, right? He watches all of the welterweight matchups in the UFC. Like this dude is doing film study like us, right? And you got to think that if that's his approach to the game, then he knows Mickey Gall. Almost all of his submission wins, if not all of them, are via rear naked choke, right? And I've told you before, you have to be really good at rear naked choke to be able to get it on people time and time and time again. It is a basic technique, but basic is not bad. Basic is very good, right? It's fundamental, Tim Duncan, the big fundamental. But if we're talking about just X's and O's, who are we leaning towards, all that good stuff, I'm leaning towards Alex Morono because I think he's going to take the approach he did when he fought Cowboy Cerrone. And that's blitz forward, bombs away. If it gets to the ground, so be it. I'm a BJJ black belt, man. I know I can rely on that. And so when I was at World Masters here in Las Vegas, man, it was a jiu-jitsu tournament, right? I was watching all the black belts going. Easier said than done trying to get the submissions on these guys, man. They've seen it all. They've done it all. Every reversal, every counter to every move. It's going to be a tough one for these guys if it stays on the feet, but I honestly don't see it that way. Now, I agree with you. Mickey Gall, a little crispier striking, precise down the pipe. Alex Morono, though, one bomb could take away all of that crispiness from Mickey Gall. So I'm leaning Alex Morono there. I'm just going to leave it at that, man. The over-under, on this fight is 2.5 rounds, minus 200 for the over, plus 160 for the under. What do you see on that one, AJ?
You said 1.5?
2.5. Minus
2.5.
Yeah, minus 200 for the over, plus 160 for the under.
I'm going with the over on that one, man. I think it's going to go the distance. I can honestly see it going both ways, but I think we're going to see a little bit of canceling out on styles and a little bit more of a point match going forward. And I'd seen before, but I'm going Mickey Gall on this one, man. I'm going with the crisp striking of Mickey Gall.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go Alex Morono, and I'm going the under. I think someone's getting their head knocked off, brother. I don't think we're going to see much grappling in this one simply because it's odd, man, but it feels like Morono doesn't grapple unless he just has to. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm a black belt, but like, oh, you know what he actually said, AJ? He says in a post-fight interview, now it makes sense. I remember him saying, hey, I don't count decisions as victories. Like I give them points, right? A knockout's 3 points, a decision's 2 points. Submission is X amount of points, right? Basically, he's finished hunting right there. He says he needs performance bonuses. He needs to be an exciting fighter. A decision is not as much as a knockout win to him. So it's interesting, right? When you're kind of like evaluating and counting, like, all right, a win isn't a win in his book. Not all wins are created equal. So it makes a little more sense. And I don't know, man. Mickey Gall, he has all the makings for an upset right here. But I like Morono, and I think we can call it on that one. AJ, hit on to the next one.